You received a green light yesterday at the Parliamentarian Assembly of the Council of Europe, and now you're waiting for the decision of the foreign ministers. About yesterday, it was not so easy actually.
No.
No?
No.
There were a lot of countries, not the majority, but some of the countries were opposing your membership. Why is that? Because of the human rights they were saying about human rights of the Serbs, actually.
To start with, I just wanted to say that it was a wonderful day, as tough as it was, but it was really a good day, you know, for Kosovo and for its citizens. Of course, the debate was not an easy one, but you could see that in general it was quite a positive, really, outlook of this process for Kosovo and Kosovo joining the Council of Europe. Even those members of parliament, because of course not all of them represent their whole group and the country per se, in terms of their views. But even those that maybe had dilemmas in relation to certain aspects within Kosovo, of course it was mentioned more in terms of communities, they didn't have a harsh word. You know, they still believe that it's important for Kosovo to be part of the Council of Europe, but then they had certain concerns. In terms of the situation of the Serbian community in Kosovo, you know, they were, if I can put it mildly, there were many untruths spoken by the Serbian delegation. That's not the situation that the Serbian community is in Kosovo. Now, of course, we have to do a lot of work, not only in relation to the Serbian community, but also other communities in Kosovo, as well as the majority of the population, which is the Albanians. You know, as you can see, even in other countries within the Council of Europe that have been members for a long time, there's still issues that they discuss. There's still elements within their countries that they have to address, you know. So, you know, we evolve all the time, and changes happen, and you have times of concern and you have times when things are working better. We strongly believe that Kosovo is a very democratic country, and it does respect human rights. But as I said, there's still elements that we still are working. Of course, the government has taken many reforms, which I think will be looked at positively during the monitoring process. There were, for example, amendments by two committees, the Legal Affairs Committee and the Equality Committee, which we were, you know, in agreement with those amendments, because they're important ones, and also we believe that we're already as a country working towards that. So, you know,
what you will fulfill regarding
yes,
the
after the accession. Yes.
What is the plan?
There were different aspects. Of course, there were amendments from the committees in relation to the judiciary and to the legal system in general. Then also from equality, there were elements, of course, which is said in respect to the communities, but actually our constitution already guarantees that. As well as legislation that we have in place, domestic violence. We were actually, even though we're not part of the Council of Europe, we already ratified the Istanbul Convention. Of course, now in terms of implementation, it will, once we become members, there's different forms of monitoring that happens as a member state, but we've already taken that commitment actually. And we've already actually worked on, for example, the law of domestic violence. The Ministry of Justice has taken as one of the main priorities in relation to addressing domestic violence, and you know, other elements like that. Now, if we look at the amendments from the Serbian delegation, those sort of go more in line of, I would say, treating Kosovo not as a state, you know, and they still, you know, claim that Kosovo is still part of Serbia and so on. And so, of course, these amendments are unacceptable, and you know, And one thing also that I really wanted to point out, because of course a lot of the conversation that was happening, but also with the media, is that they will sort of bring this back to Serbia. And one thing that really we have to understand, that this is about Kosovo. And it's about every citizen that lives in Kosovo, regardless of their ethnic background. And for Kosovo to be part of the Council of Europe, it means what it provides for all of the citizens. So they all will have access to the Court of Human Rights and also other mechanisms within the Council of Europe. So this is about our citizens, as I said, regardless of the ethnic background. This is not about whether it's the dialogue with Serbia or other issues that we're dealing with Serbia. This is about completely internally what we provide for our citizens. So the focus has to be there,
to fulfill the demands.
Exactly. And also this is another thing, and I've said this also during some of the committee meetings, that it's true. It's not just what Kosovo gains, but also it's what also our obligation will be. We will have many obligations during the monitoring process that we have to fulfill. So we're also taking obligations. We're not sort of just joining an institution. Everything will be provided for us. So yeah. Now, of course, we have the next battle with the Committee of Ministers. But I really...
What do you expect from that battle?
There's different outlooks in terms of this. Of course, it's not...
France is opposing your membership, actually.
I don't think it's... I wouldn't put it as opposing. They put certain, again, concerns of... element of concerns and in terms of... fulfillment. So I think it was stated very clear, especially in terms of the association from the rapporteur, from the report, but also from especially three main groups in the Parliamentary Assembly, that this is a bilateral process. It's happening with another institution, and we cannot put it as a precondition in terms of us joining the Council of Europe. It is part of the report after the accession and steps that need to be taken in regards to that. And our leaders have taken a commitment in these conditions after the accession to the Council of Europe. So. And I really believe that we've really taken steps to prove that we are committed to this process. Now, also, I really strongly believe that also the Committee of Ministers will, they have asked for an opinion, and the opinion of the Parliamentary Assembly is very important. And I really don't see that it is, another sort of part of this institution who would completely disregard a very important report that, not only took the 2/3 majority, but it was the percentage of the vote, of course, was much higher than that. So I really believe that they will take this into consideration. So, but of course, we still have a lot of work.
A lot of work, yes, regarding those conditions which were mentioned, and Macedonian side, Macedonian parliamentarians were not against, of course, as a good neighbors.
I also wanted to come to that and to really thank them for their support, but not only during this time of voting, really throughout the process, but also throughout Kosovo's journey since the end of the war, and that's really important. And I've pointed this out here as well with our friends and supporters, that this is a joint journey that we've really taken, and it's because of everyone's contribution, and of course with the North Macedonian delegation as well, that it's made possible. And we really appreciate that, and we're very thankful, because especially having good neighbors and having a good relationship with your neighbors is really important. It's
maybe the most important.
Of course, and this really will make a difference. I also believe in terms of stability and good neighborly relations within our region as well. And it's so important. It's so crucial for us. We've been through a lot, and it's important that we work towards a future where our future generations don't have to deal with what we've dealt in the past.
Yes.
And I say this continuously because I really believe in that.
Yes. What Greece didn't recognize Kosovo.
No,
No.
not yet.
Not yet. Yes. What is interesting is that Dora Bakoyani was a reporter. Yes. She made a report and she gave to you full support and recommended your membership, which is very interesting. And Greece is opposing of your independence. Why is that? Because of good relations with Serbia.
Well, I think in terms of the non-recognizers, to be honest, I see more something that they're having to deal more internally than per se having issues with Kosovo. We've not had any sort of concrete reasoning. I mean, as I said, Greece hasn't yet recognized Kosovo. I really believe that in the near future that will happen. And regardless of that, we still have a good relationship, with the country. So it's not where we don't have any form of communication and so on. So that's important to point out, and I think also it was really important that we had Dora Bakoyani as the rapporteur,
And
actually,
your
I
friend,
think,
political friend.
yeah, and then she did a great job with that report, as well as of course the other two rapporteurs, Azadeh and Beatrice from the Legal Affairs Committee and the Equality Committee, because of course it was important their input as well, and I think also we had a really good report by the imminent lawyers. And, they were there in person and they also had knowledge of the region as well and the country, which is really important.
Regarding the Ohrid agreement, you remember that agreement aims to normalize diplomatic relations, and one of the key points is that Serbia will not object to Kosovo's membership in any international organization. There was a consent, not signed. It was not signed.
But it still was an agreement.
But still it was agreement.
Yes.
And what happened? Why it was... there was a consent, actually, verbally consent. What happened? Why Serbia is opposing despite this agreement?
Well, I think if you look at throughout sort of agreements, it doesn't really mean that Serbia has fulfilled their end of the bargain in terms of their agreements. I think it's a big violation, and I mean, it's really difficult to sort of comment on this because it's not like the attitude has changed from Belgrade. So it's with great regret that I see such attitude and such way of dealing with this. And as I said, this is not about. It's not. Kosovo joining the Council of Europe is not that we're working against anybody. It's that we're providing for our own citizens.
Serbia, regarding Srebrenica and the United Nations resolution, some of the comments are that they are angry because some of the comments are saying that that is a tool against against Serbia.
I think it's very important to acknowledge the fact that we're not talking of similar contexts, and I don't think that Kosovo should be used in that manner in terms of sort of trying to address other forms. I think everyone has the right to have these discussions, and of course it's not for us to say who has the right or not to have the right. But I think it's not right that Kosovo is used to be able, to sort of excuse either side of the argument. The case of Kosovo has been, proven that it's a sui generis case, and it's really important to acknowledge that. And as I said, each country has the right to have their own discussions.
And to declare, each country has the right to declare independence.
Well, I mean,
you're supporting that.
No, don't put words
Okay.
in my mouth that I'm not saying.
I'm asking
what
you.
I'm saying is that it's their right to have these discussions.
Yes.
And no one is opposing that they don't have the right to discuss this between themselves or however they see fit to do that, but not to use Kosovo for that, because
as a
different
tool, as a tool.
because these cases vary. We're not talking about the same thing. So I think it's really important to point that out. But also, to be honest, I've not heard anyone that has come to us who've said, "Oh, because this or this in relation to our country, we don't think that you deserve to be part of this institution." And as Dora pointed out, we're talking about human rights, democracy, and rule of law, and Kosovo is a state, and it's important that we become part of this institution, and we provide for our citizens the rights that every country that is part of the Council of Europe has. So and as it was pointed out yesterday, we're not here to talk about statehood.
Serbia lost their biggest friend here in the Council of Europe. It was Russia. It was expelled, and now it's a good time for Kosovo to ask and to gain to become a membership to get a membership from the Council of Europe.
I don't understand why they would be angry about that. Those crimes have been committed. It's a fact. The same unit that participated in Srebrenica killed my family some years later in Kosovo. 2 brothers have been convicted. One that participated in Srebrenica, but in my family's case. So it didn't stop in Bosnia and in Srebrenica, they continued. So I really don't understand, and I don't know how I can comment in terms of why they would be angry at something that already. And this is also, I think, what's really important to point out is that Serbia has to take responsibility for the crimes that have been committed.
Yes.
Now, this is, of course, no one is ever saying that every individual who comes from the Serbian community is sort of etiquetted with what the Serbian government did, and we're aware of that. And I've said this here also and everywhere, that I'm very careful with the language that I use in terms of even addressing what happened to me during the war, because we have responsibilities, and the responsibility is, what do we create as a narrative for the future generations? And the narrative that we've seen here, and the way the Serbian delegation has spoken here, especially towards Kosovo, and the very harsh words also towards the Prime Minister, it's that's not going to change that narrative. So I'm sorry, but I have no understanding or sympathy of any anger in relation to something that acknowledges of the genocide in Srebrenica. For me, it's as simple as that. Serbia can use any excuse that it wants to. It does. But as I said, this is about the citizens of Kosovo. And it's about what we provide for them. This is not about Serbia, it's not about anyone else. It's about what we can provide for our citizens in an institution that is about its 3 core elements, which are really important: human rights, democracy, and rule of law. In terms of Russia being expelled, for us, it happened at a specific time, but for us, really, it didn't matter whether Russia was part of the Council of Europe or not. We would have proceeded with our application to the Council of Europe, because we believe that it's our right to be in this institution, and so it's not our process. It's not in any way related to whether Russia was expelled.
Thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.